Hi, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts. You're catching me on my YouTube channel, True Divine 44. You can also get me on my Facebook page, True Divine 44. It is Be True Divine for both Instagram and Twitter. This is the free content that I put out to help support people, guide people, take what resonates. It is general. I work with energy, I work with tarot, and I combine the two to bring you a narrative to help guide you on your day, recognize the energies you might feel within, around you, and within others, and figure out the best way to go forward to make the most out of your day. So this is for the 25th of September 2020. I'm using the new deck, the Nostradamus deck, that I'm loving. I'm getting to know. I like to just get on with them and get to know them as I go, and then the meanings for me come too. But I like to know the meanings that come alongside with the deck. So bear with me with it, but it is a beautiful deck, and we have the Temperance card. And so we see here that right now this couldn't be more true. On the bottom of the deck, the underpinning energy of the day, the Temperance card, asking us for balance, asking us to exchange two differing streams of energy that is, and transmute it into something of being one, of being balanced, of being in the middle, creating some kind of harmony, even from the most negative of situations. It talks about also that in this time, a lot of people are being tempted to self-medicate, numb the energy by, numbing themselves quite literally, whether that be alcohol, whether that be drugs, or whatever else it might be. Be aware of that. Temperance talks about balancing out. It's from the Latin temperare, and so that means also to mingle, to exchange. And so to exchange even the most negative of energies around you, within others and within yourself, into something that doesn't destroy you, but that is temperate. Just like blood temperature is temperate. You draw a bath and you put your hand in. If for newborns, you shouldn't really be able to quite feel the water. It's so temperate. It's body temperature. It's not a boiling point, it's not a freezing point, it's neutral. And so it's about neutralizing the negative energies within you and around you, and that is a difficult ask, of course it is, but it is one of the key skills to gain in this experience. It's one of the major skills to be able to do everything that you're meant to do within this life experience, to be able to bring about, leave things in a better way than you found them, to be temperate through all scenarios. And so on the bottom of the other deck, we've got the Knight of Coins, but it's in reverse. And we see this, businesses being turned upside down, panicked messages being exchanged today as to which way to go forward, a lot of real insecurity. So again, bringing in that temperance within this situation in order to see the best way forward is very important. I feel for all of the businesses, particularly in the UK right now, that are wondering what the future might be and how best to go about sustaining and maintaining both the business, yourself, and the people that work for you. Of course, in this situation, it's a test to stay temperate, to be able to exchange negative vibes and make something positive of it, think outside the box through that balanced point. So there's that, and that's happening in individual lives, but it's also happening on the collective stage. We see that there's a lot of agendas going forward, and they're trying to keep, they're trying to deliberately make others, the collective, not be temperate, not be of temperance, of balance. But at the same time, they're trying to balance that out with having a glossy front, but also get away with murder. And so we see that it's very difficult because there are active forces, whether they're in our individual lives or whether it is just from what the energy is being put out from the collective stage, from those elitists. It's difficult because there is active negative energy being pulsed out into your electromagnetic field. So the first card of the reading is the Four of Stars. And so you see, I'm trying to get you guys to know the illustrations as well as myself. And so you see with the Four of Stars, we see that there's this, it says in the couplet for it from the original quatrain, it says, between two rivers, one will be trapped, barrels and casks will be joined to pass beyond. So I thought about that and I thought, well, barrels, they hold something, they sustain something. Now with a cask, you're sort of maturing it, aren't you? So to try and take a mature, balanced approach, there are divides, there are rivers between each other, there are rivers between people. And so to move away from the divisional things, to see through the tactics that actually, yes, they might have been in place for generation after generation, but they're not real. They have been implanted by those above you. Those trigger points, those divisional points have been implanted. Now, I know that sounds extraordinary because we've lived with divide for so long now, but it is false. It is not it's not the only existence that we've had here before, and it's not the only existence that is possible here now. And so it's from those different places, different walks of life, different belief systems, different feelings, we can meet for the greater good. And right now, the greater good is in peril. And so we have to approach this with maturity. We have to approach this with an idea of how to sustain and keep the sustenance in the barrel, and to be able to meet at that river rather than be divided by those rivers. Of course, rivers, water, emotion, it's very difficult. That's where temperance comes way back in, to keep temperate in those situations and realize there's something far greater, far bigger right now than our emotions. Now, to clarify that card again, we've got the Seven of Swords. I'm sure this came out yesterday for the collective reading. And so we've got the Seven of Swords here. So again, there's infiltration, there's theft of thought, there's theft of ideas, that implanting, that theft of peace of mind, and that implanting of the division. You must look deeper into that if you're feeling divided, if you're feeling at opposite sides of different people in the collective right now. We need to show just how mature and just how level-headed and temperate we can be when it comes down to the safety of our children, when it comes down to protecting the reality for the next generation. And so the next card came out yesterday too, and I used this deck in a couple of private readings yesterday. So it's been shuffled, cleared very, very well. And this came out again. So this is another 4, and it's 4 and 4, my numbers. So this is also the 4 of Moons. And so we see in this card, there's the cycles of the moons being shown, that the life is made up of cycles. But also we see Orion up there, the constellation. We see that this is represented by Scorpio, you know, what can be seen as a darker, more forceful sign. And I mean that in a nice way for the people who are of that sign. But of this story, this is the story about Orion bragging to the goddess to say that he could slay any beast walking the earth. And so telling that to Apollo, Apollo got angry and created a half man, half scorpion beast. And the two antagonists to slay Orion, the two antagonists fought all of their way into the sea. Those feisty emotions, those passions, that fight. And so when it came down to it, the goddess who was in love with Orion, Artemis, came and killed what she thought was a scorpion, but it was her lover, Orion. And so it was made into a constellation. And it says for the couplet of this, and I read this yesterday, but obviously it's very important, it's come up again. When two malignancies of the scorpion conjoin, the great Lord is murdered in his room. So for me, that meant today, in his own ego, in his own bravado, of how daring to think that he had the right to come and slay and brag about it and fantasize about slaying any living creature that walked the earth. That was against the rules, that was against ethics, that was against creation itself. And so he fell his ego. He was slain through his ego. He was slain through his want to be the all-powerful, so powerful that he would dare to take life needlessly or brag about it or even think about it. And so the reminder of him for us is in the stars, in that there are beings here that would be so brazen, that would be so dark as to have an agenda, to think that they can put themselves in place of creative source, hijack and put themselves in place on the throne of the great mother who keeps the life balance anyway when she's left alone to it, when the electromagnetic fields are left alone to it. Death happens, balance happens, life happens at the same time. And so we've got the Knight of Swords here to clarify this card. And so this card is speaking of remembering the past differently, in that a lot of people maybe would look at the constellation Orion and seeing how the beauty of it in the stars, but not really knowing why it was placed there, that it was placed there as a reminder to have a reverence for life, not a lust for blood. And so there's a huge knowing of mine that I've said over and over again, that the past is nothing like we've been told. The timelines, the way things have been described, the way things have been placed in our mind right through the education system. History is nothing. Even with all the documents and everything, it's nothing like we've been taught. There hasn't always been division. There hasn't always been these organized religions against each other. And so, but because that's all we've been taught for so long, for so many generations, that's all we feel we know. So we give up the fact that we give up our sovereignty to those above us. We give our children's lives and what might happen to them to those above us. We allow them to take control. And so looking to the past is very important right now. But when you think you're looking into the past, look into the occult, look into the hidden, look into the deeper past. And when you think it's hitting on crazy, look deeper again. And when you think it's looking on real crazy, because it's nothing like you've been taught, keep looking. That's where you need to be, because at that point where these beings came in and divided and tried to rule, that is where it went wrong. That is where our reality that we see now, that's what got us into this mess. And so it's for us to really search for the truth. And that starts from within. And then, as I say, looking deeper, not looking at what they want you to see. And so this is the Knight of Swords in the upright. The Knight of Swords goes for it. The Knight of Swords is the messenger. And so look out on the wider stage as well, because as well as all of the negative things, particularly in the UK, that are happening right now with Parliament, there are actually some parliamentarians, some amazing people like Mark, speaking out the truth, speaking out against the very system that they work for, the very system that they worked for, absolutely resigning from hugely paid posts because they cannot stand by and be a part of what is going on. So where it looks all negative and dark, that's because they want us to see that. Look deeper. Look for the speeches that are being made by these brave Knights of Swords, giving the truth, giving a different perspective. You will see today many virologists trying to come out with the truth. You'll see many doctors starting to realize that they've been sold down the river, and they will be coming out with the truth. It's a day of Knight of Swords coming out, but you need to look for them. And when you see them, support them. When you see them, listen to them. Don't write them off because it's odd, it's not what you're used to hearing. So the next card is the 5 of Moons. Now with this one, it says they will offer themselves to Luna with the quince, where they will be taken and placed in a strange land. And so with this, it asks us to, again, examine the past. Look at the past differently. We see this being looking at the tree, the family tree, looking at the true heritage of not only your own family, but your ancestors, the generations that have passed before. Look out for spiritual answers and do not question them. They are more real and more wholehearted than anything you will see on mainstream. And so you might find that within your intuition, which is the moon, Luna, you'll find, meditate, please, ask for answers, ask your higher self, your true self, for your true heritage, your true family tree. Look at the Akashic records of you. Look at the Akashic records of creation itself and what really happened. When did this turn? When did somebody hijack your tree? And so again, there's a lot of emphasis on, and I'm not like a Q person, but I will not write off what resonates with me. And there's certain things, he says that, you know, the Q movement says something along the lines of past proves future or something like that. Now that goes with what I say about the past, and I'll get into that in a bit. So it asks us, the devil comes up to clarify this card. So the chains that have been put around us, the chains that have been put around creation, the chains that have been put around free energy that is around us all of the time, the free energy that has been buried, fought for, buried of good people who created it, who took the mantle from Tesla. The ancient ones knowing how to harness the electricity just in the air. That's our true heritage. Yet we've been chained up. We think we've got an easier life than the ancient ones. We think because we can plug in to something and charge something up, that it's so clever. It's so archaic. We've been chained up so much that we don't even know where those chains started, which is why this card is asking us to look at our true heritage, our true history, through our Akashic records. However you might find it, look for it, to break these chains. Where did the devil come in? Where did these chains come in? You see, for me, Christianity is a huge thing that the devil wanted, and they put across that they are the opposer to the devil. Everything is flipped upside down. Everything, when you look in the mirror, it's the reflection that's more true than the very thing that stands in front of the mirror. And the reflection we see of the actions of organized religion, since whatever point in history, in time, they managed to chain up and divide people, that's what we need to see. We need to see the cogs and the wheels behind this and recognize that we are free, but we're allowing ourselves to be chained up. Because we've come so far, now it takes us to be mature, going back to the start of the reading, to be the barrels and the casks, you know, to hold things, to hold life, to hold substance, to take back and keep certain things so that we can mature, so that we can have a life, so that our children can have a long life, to protect each other rather than be divided. That is the only way these beings, these elites, these globalists, these politicians have gotten us so far, because they've managed to work so hard, put so much money into division and control. And so the moment we stop doing that, the moment we let go of ego and let go of generational trauma that has been falsely created, that is when we'll see the difference within this. But I want to leave you with that it's very difficult to see the way forward, where what we do now. This card here, this 5 of Moons, is very important, because if you feel trapped, if you're in danger of getting arrested, if you're in danger of being mobbed by a certain group of people. The best thing you can do when you're sitting there stressing about how can you help change things is release your own chains from this, release your own chains that have been passed down from generation to generation. Because with that, without you even leaving your home, you give out such a power, such an empowered frequency that literally impregnates the field around you and bounces off other fields that people are putting out. It has an influence upon it. And you can bet your life that that makes it all the way. It's a biofeedback loop. It makes it all the way to the very people that are causing these problems. So you doing that inner work in whatever safe zone you can, you emitting the healing that comes from that, the wholeness that comes from that, the bliss and peace, the temperance, even in the most negative environments. That is a powerful frequency that you're putting out that does cause a reversal of a lot of the actions that we've been seeing recently. So don't feel like you're powerless. You have more power within your body than you can even imagine. So that's the reading for the 25th of September 2020. I hope it helps. Take the day for all it's worth. Do your inner work, emit that frequency, please. If you'd like a private reading with me, you can get in touch at truedivinemedia@gmail.com, or you can message me on Facebook at truedivine44 private message. And if you'd like any energy work or spiritual guidance, it really helps what I'm trying to sustain here. And I appreciate all of the new clients that are coming forward. I love you all. Much love, balance, and wholeness. Mwah.